first home buyer out there, or even if you're buying a home and it's not your first home, because I guarantee you what I'm going to share with you today is going to be a whole new way and perspective that you're going to look at how you're going to package this home purchase, okay? Because I'm going to ask you questions that no mortgage broker, no realtor, and no financial planner is actually having you look at it from that perspective. Why? Because everybody you work with does it from their perspective, not your perspective. Do you know what that means? I know. We don't know what that means. And this is where, when I'm talking about building your wealth from the inside out, I want you to purchase this home from your perspective. And I'm not talking the kitchen and the backyard and the pool and the da-da-da-da. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about designing the financial package of this home purchase in alignment with you, not in alignment with the mortgage broker who wants you to buy a 30-year fixed because that pays them the most money, or the realtor who really wants you to sell the house at the highest price because they make the most money, because that is from their perspective, not your perspective. Now, I also want to be very, very mindful that it is not a negative that the realtor, the mortgage broker, the financial planner, or your tax person, that they're doing it from their perspective. The problem here is that you're not doing it from your perspective. This is not about making other people wrong. They are doing it in alignment with themselves and what they are trying to accomplish in their life, and hopefully with some integrity along the way, and they're coming from the perspective of both sides, but that doesn't always happen. And this is where I really see people kind of sitting there holding the short end of the stick. So here's what I want you to do. I've met people, when you're buying your first home, and even if it's your second home or third, I don't really care, because this is about what are you trying to accomplish? And most people don't think about, what do you mean, what am I trying to accomplish? So I want you to ask yourself a few questions. One, how long are you going to be in this property? From your best guess. Like, none of us really know what tomorrow is going to hold, but I want you to actually look at it from the perspective of, how long am I going to be here? I have a lot of first-time home buyers that sit there and they tell me, well, I'll probably be here for 5 to 7 years, but eventually, I'm going to have a family and I'm probably going to expand. Well, do you realize if you're going to stay there for 5 to 7 years, and the first 5 to 7 years of a 30-year fixed mortgage product, which is the majority of what people buy out there, you're paying interest? So you might as well just go pay for rent. You're not actually building anything, because when you pay the realtor fees, when you sell this place in 5 to 7 years, all of your gains are gone. You really actually didn't get ahead, except for if the marketplace had capital appreciation, and over the last few years, who's actually experienced a bunch of that? Not too many people, right? It worked in the 90s when real estate was just going up and you could sell a place for $50,000 more like 2 years later, but that is not the case today. So what do you do when you are looking? So you've decided 5 to 7 years you're moving. Okay, so what do you do about that? Well, you go, most people buy a 30-year fixed mortgage because of the fact that that 30-year fixed is the lowest payment. But is that really the objective? It may be one of the objectives, but what could potentially be some of the other perspectives? One of the other perspectives is, wow, if I did a 15-year fixed mortgage as opposed to a 30-year fixed mortgage, and I leave in 5 to 7 years, well, 15 divided by 2 is 7.5. So if you leave there in 7 years, how much of that mortgage are you going to have paid off? If you're half of the amount of years, you're going to have about half of the mortgage actually paid off. Wouldn't that be a hell of a lot more fun to go buy that second house? If you're buying a $200,000 place and you have $100,000 of it paid off, you now have equity of $100,000 to go purchase the new place. This is where I'm talking about doing it from your perspective and not the perspective of just having a low minimum payment. Now, I will have some people say, well, but what if if I lower that payment and then I put extra principal down? When I have extra principal, guess what? Human nature, you are not going to actually, statistically, you are highly unlikely that you're going to add principal to it if it's not a required payment. The majority of people actually do not do that. They have good intentions that they're going to do that, but life happens and that never actually occurs. So Position yourself to be lucky, as I say, and make it be part of your payment. Because guess what? People don't default on their mortgages typically. Like, you're going to make it work because you don't want to lose your home. So build it from your perspective. And when you move, so those people who are buying maybe their second house, try to make your payment the exact same thing. What do I mean by that? I'm not necessarily saying the payment that you're actually paying out of your checking account. I'm saying that if you've already paid 7 years on a mortgage, then your next mortgage, you shouldn't go, if you did a 30-year fixed, then go to a 23-year or go to a 20-year. Do the things that make it so that you're eventually going to get out of debt while you're increasing your lifestyle and increasing the size of your home. So those are a couple things of little tips and tools that when you're looking at purchasing, to think of it a little bit differently. What age do you no longer want to have a mortgage payment? That's a third perspective to look at it, going, oh, I don't want a mortgage payment. I'll ask this to 25-year-olds and they'll always say 40, 35. I'm like, okay, well then that's a 15-year fixed. I have people at 50 years old refinancing and doing 30-year fixes. And I go, you really want to be done with this at age 80? And they're like, no, I don't. Nobody says yes to wanting a mortgage done at age 80. Nobody says yes to that. Well, then why are we purchasing products that actually create that reality for us? So this is about purchasing the product that actually aligns with you and what it is that you want to create in your life. For more tips and tools, come to juliemurphy.com, sign up for my newsletter. If you need some more specific help, come and join my impact course, because I am going to help you redesign the way you think and approach your money and your life so that you actually create a sustainable plan and actually create a life that you love. Talk to you guys soon. Ciao for now.